my mother. My mother was an inspiring person in my life. She influenced me very much. She was a very romantic woman who loved flowers, books, poems, and movies. She always had compassion for poor people and helped them as much as possible. She had many friends, and some of them received help from my mother. One day, I happened to see my mother give a golden necklace to her cousin who was suffering from extreme poverty. My mother's warm heart was deeply impressed on my mind. My mother inspired me to love literature. I read hundreds of books and watched hundreds of movies in my school days. I chose literature for my major. I will love literature forever thanks to my mother. I became a Christian 27 years ago by my mother's persuasion. I'm glad to have plenty of things and joy in this world's life and to have hope for eternal life in heaven. I'm trying to be a good daughter of God. When she died in 1983 in Chicago, I couldn't be with her in her last moment. I was in Korea for work. I was so sad and utterly grieved for several years. But now, whenever I remember my mother, there is a sweet smile playing about my lips, reminding of her well-made-up face, neatly dressed-up figure, and silhouette when she was reading the Bible. Whenever I meet a challenge, suffering, or an obstacle in my life, I try to overcome it with a prayer to God and endure it with warm heart that I inherited from my mother. My mother made me to cultivate a mind to love beautiful things in the world and made me to cultivate a mind to love people who are faced with adversity. I will never forget my mother.